Last year, I made a video where I went over my worst figures of the year, and I figure let's do that again for 2025. Now, I do want to say, this year has not been awful. Last year, I had a good selection of 10 figures that I really had problems with. This year, there's really only like 5 or 6 that I really dislike. So, there are some figures on this list that I am okay with. I have, 90% of it I'm happy with. There's just some problems with it that I think could be fixed, and it would be a good figure. But we definitely have some that I really just didn't like at all. So we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about the ones that I really, didn't have a problem with, and everything in between. But if you do enjoy this video and you want to see more like it, I'm also going to be doing my favorite figures of the year. So if you're interested in that, I will also be doing a video on that. If you're interested, subscribe. You'll see that whenever I put it out. I'll also be doing my top 10 favorite anime of the year. So if you're interested in that, that'll be out in a couple days or about a week or so. So without any further ado, let's get right on into it. So whenever I say figures, it doesn't necessarily have to be a figure. It can be anything anime merch that is plastic, a figurine of some sort. I'm being very loose with that definition. But first off is a figure, and it's a figure I actually didn't have a lot of problems with, and this is from Girls Band Cry. Now, I like this figure. I don't have a lot of problems with it. However, my main issue with this figure comes from the details in this, basically. So the rest of this set, I will briefly, I will show a full collection set here. This is from the Girls Band Cry set. Here's a full view of the whole set. And you'll notice something. All the other girls, they are holding a mic, they're holding a bass, they're holding a drumsticks and a drum. They've got all their instruments. They got a guitar. All of them have their instruments. She doesn't. She has sheet music. And it's not even like holding the sheet music. It's like it's flowing here. Now, I'm all for having, like props in your figure that are like flying around. It's great. Yeah, it's, character to the figure. But when you make the line not look good together, whenever you have 4 figures that look like they're at a shoot for a band, they're all holding their instruments, and then you just have her that's like sheet music flying up around her. It kind of looks goofy. Not only that, and this was a nitpick on the full set, and you might have noticed it whenever I showed it to you. 3 of the figures have red bases, 2 of them have black bases. I don't like that. Either completely do different colors for every girl, or do uniform bases all the way across. I don't like when you do 2 and 3, because then it looks like these figures are a part of another set, and they're not. So, is this a nitpick choice? Yes. Is this still my least favorite figure of that set? Yes. But even this one, finding 9 of them was easy. I really had to try and find something to put in this 10th spot, and this is just what happened to be here. In number 9 spot is Sakamoto's Nendoroid from Sakamoto days. Now, why do I have a problem with him? Why is he here? Well, this is a very easy one. This is a Nendoroid Basic. So if you're unaware, a Nendoroid Basic is basically a simplified Nendoroid to where all you get in the box is what you see here. There is no additional arms, there is no additional accessories. They're a little bit cheaper, so that's why I'm being a little bit more generous with him. But while I'm fine with that for like a character like Punaru up here, I am more critical whenever it comes to a mainstay character from a popular anime like Sakamoto. There's a lot of different opportunities for stuff you could do with Sakamoto. Sakamoto uses many different things in the anime to be able to defeat his enemies without killing them. And so what do they give him to show that off? A gun. That's so boring. It's just such wasted potential with this one. I could imagine a full little box set to where you might even get an alternative body or an alternative head, probably a head, but whatever, to where you could have skinny Sakamoto, fat Sakamoto, and then you have a bunch of different little things here and there so that you could really show it off. I think that'd be really cool, and no, we got this. So, bit of a disappointment. I mean, even Funko was able to do both a skinny and a normal one using a chased and a non-chased, and those, if you were able to find both of them without having to pay scalper prices, would be pretty much the same price as this. So what are you gonna? I just, it's such wasted potential with this little guy. Is he well done? Yeah, I mean he's cute, but like, so is Punaroo. But I feel like I got my value out of Punaroo. I didn't get my value out of this one. This one hurts me. Next up here we have Mao Mao. Now this is a Mao Mao prize figure here that we got, and I am just mixed on my opinion of it. And I like the colors. I think the colors are fine, but I think the worst part is this figure is supposed to take place under the moonlight. This is where she kind of intercepts the little convoy and messes with all of the twins or whatever. It's an interesting little scene, but the figure itself looks like it is lit by moonlight, and whenever you have full lights on, it doesn't really look that good. All the colors just look really diluted is the problem here. And I think if it wasn't, it would actually look pretty good. But because of the diluted colors here, I'm just not feeling it. And when we got another Mao Mao prize figure, at least I did, it really started to show in my collection how big of a difference it was between this one and my other prize figure. Is this a bad figure? No. Is it disappointing? Yeah, it's just one of those prize figures to where you're like, man, there's so much better things you could have done here, but no. So that's why it's here. Like I said, I'm really having to scrounge around for some of these. It's been a decent year for stuff I've bought. Okay, so if all of those that we've talked about so far fell into like C tier, now we're getting into the D tier range. And the first one of those is this Your Lie in April Nendoroid Light here, and you might have already noticed one of my biggest issues with it. Her head doesn't work. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If it doesn't work for my figure, I'm going to be critical of it. Is that a flaw with all the figures? I don't know. But if it isn't, that's a quality control issue. I have a problem with it. So that's my issue. This is my copy. This is what I'm grading, and this is what has get in the spot, because its head doesn't stay up. Also, I am really not a big fan of these Nendoroid lights. With like Sakamoto and the Nendoroid Basic, at least I can still move his arms, and I could still do a little bit if I really wanted to find other accessories that would fit his hands. But with this one, you are trapped. Basically, I think her head moves, but her body is just stuck. And that's kind of boring. The legs cannot move. It's just like, all right, with Nendoroids, I expect a little bit of customization. I want a little bit of variety with them, because if I don't, then at some point, I'm like, all right, you're losing the charm of being a Nendoroid. This is really there. I'm losing the charm of Nendoroids once I get to this point. Is it a bad mold? No. Like, it's fine. And it's fine. But it's just like, did we need this? And this is just bad. Like, if it wasn't for this, I would probably have her closer to where Sakamoto is. But because of this, I'm like, no, that figure, it just feels cheap. Like whenever I pick up this figure, I can pick up Funko Pops that feel like they're better quality than this thing. But not always. And here we have Akane from Ranma Half. This is her Funko Pop here. And And there you go. There's why she's here. So you may have noticed already that I've put this little bit of white putty on here. And that's because without it, she completely falls over. So this Ranma here is kind of walking. It looks like she's walking, and this just doesn't stand up. It has a base, but the peg is not big enough to actually fit. So what I have to do is I have to put that putty on her feet to be able to stand her up. And even then, we're going to sit her there. I guarantee you she will fall over here in a second. But I just really do not like whenever a Funko Pop will not stand up on its own. It's very simple to make them stand up. If they won't stand, there you go. If she won't stand up on her own, then put one of the bases that go into her back and then run it down to this base. Don't make it a peg. And that's what they should have done. It would have fixed some of the problems. And you might say, well, this is pretty high on the list to just be a problem with standing. That's not my only problem. Now, this is a whole problem for the entire Ranma line, but I'm singling this one out because of the standing issue. But this isn't a problem for the whole line. I could put the whole line in this spot, really. But, see the face? You see that? I don't know if it comes across on camera, but do you notice how, like, plasticky her face looks? Like, I know it's plastic, it makes sense, but this is like plasticky more than normal. It's not a brown. It looks like it is a faded, clear plastic that has gotten dirty. I know what they're trying to do here. They're trying to go for an Asian type skin tone, but anime figures, Ranma figures, have never done this. They've always just gone for a traditional type skin tone, and it's never looked plasticky, even when you do a kind of tannish skin tone or an Asian skin tone. This just doesn't look right. And what makes it worse is that you can easily tell that her arms are slightly a little bit paler than her face. That's one of my biggest issues with this one. This feels like a cheap line. And I hate that because the Ranma series is a series that I have enjoyed. And so whenever I find out that it is just being skimped on, I'm quite disappointed. And so that's where I'm at with this one. Honorable mentions also go to the Ranma. And to all the other ones, I quite like the shampoo one. I think that one's pretty good, but the rest of the line, no. It's very disappointing. Except for the panda and the pig and the cat. Those are good. Shampoo and the panda and the cat. Peach-on, those are good. No problem with those. But all the human characters, yeah, they kind of suck. Now we're getting into the D- tier. These are the figures that I really do have problems with. And if they weren't specific characters, or if I wasn't trying to complete a line, I wouldn't own them. Or maybe I wouldn't own them at all. Even if I could sell them, I probably would. But here's where we are. And in number 5 is Yamada, the Freeing Bunny, from Dangers in My Heart. I hate this one. I hate this one, not only because of the figure here, but because this is where we're at. I love her character. I love her character so much. I have other figures of her. I have a Nendoroid. I have 2 prize figures of her, and I love her character in the anime so much. This does not look like Yamada. This doesn't. This doesn't look like her. The face is just completely missed here. I kind of see where they're coming from, but it ain't there. And by comparison, the pop-up parade version of Yamada is much better. Much better. For only about $40 and a face that's only this big, it's better. Yamada is a very emotive character. She's a character that smiles a lot. She's a character that has her cheeks full of food all the time, and you can do so much with her. And yet, all we get here is what looks like a shy girl holding her arms behind her back, puffing out her chest, which Yamada has big breasts, yes, but is never one to show off her big breasts. She just has them. That's that's a characteristic of her, but that is not a personality trait. So all of that, this figure is not Yamada besides her name. And one of the biggest problems that I have, and I've been saying this, everything else is a problem, but her hair, you could easily at least say, okay, well, the face is off, but at least the body and the hair look like it, but this hair is not her. Yamada has blue highlights, and everything that you can see from the anime to the pictures, official art, everything will show you that she has a little bit of blue hair. But it's more like a black with blue highlights, not a blue with black highlights like this one is giving. This just gives us a Ami feel from Toradora more so than a Yamada. And that's why this one just completely missed the mark. It's another one kind of like Mai back here, who was on this list last year. This is a character that you have personality traits about her that could easily be conveyed in a figure like this, even a bunny girl, to where, we had a Nagatoro last year. Nagatoro didn't have any bonus features in her character. She didn't have any props or anything, but she was able to convey her personality through the freeing bunny. With this figure, I don't even think this is Anna. I think this is another character that just looks like Anna. And that's all that it is. Number 4 is Tanjiro. The big one, the 10-inch one. And so this is kind of just a little rant here. I don't like these things. I don't like 10-inch Funko Pops to begin with. But you might say, well, you've gotten other ones this year. You've gotten Tengen, you've got Nezuko, you even got that big, huge All Might. And yes, I did. However, I can more excuse some of them. So the first 10-inch figure that we ever got from the Demon Slayer line was Rengoku. And after that, it was kind of like the next one we got was Tengen. And so what people were kind of thinking, at least me and kind of my inner circle, we were thinking, okay, they're going to do all the Hashira. I'm fine with that. You have they kind of look like statues, like One Piece did statue line. Going to do big, kind of memorial type things. No spoilers. I'm not spoiling you. But memorial type things like big statues of the Hashira because they are important characters. Same thing with All Might. All Might, you have this big, it looks like a statue. I know it's a Funko Pop, but you get what I'm meaning. But then they did Tanjiro. And then they did Nezuko. And why Tanjiro's here and not Nezuko is because this thing just doesn't look that good. And I'll show you right here. So up here, right at his hairline here, you see that? That's skin paint that is up on his hair, all the way across there. There's white on his neck. There is brown paint that is kind of seeping onto his shirt here. This is badly painted. And for a 10-inch pop, how is it painted worse than your little bitty ones? The little ones are painted better than this one. How is that possible? I don't like what this pop is. I don't like how it's done. It's not well done, and I don't like its existence in general. So that's why it's here. This is probably my most controversial one on the list, but guess what? We're an F tier. And it's this ecchi binding figure that I got this year. I didn't like it. So I've gotten 2 ecchi figures this year, technically 3, but we'll talk about one of them here in a little bit. But I got 2 that were from original characters. I got this one, and I got the Yoga Girl one. And I think the Yoga Girl one is fine. It's pretty much what I wanted. I got it. It's not on this list. This one, though, I kind of worked myself up to it. I got 2 original characters to just display on their own, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I want to see what these binding figures are about. Now, Binding is a similar company to Freeing. They make quarter scale figures, and I was excited to get one. I thought, they do a lot of cloth stuff. They are kind of cast off, so I was excited to see how that's done whenever it's really the focus of the figure. I thought, overall, this should be a really high quality figure. This is an expensive figure, more expensive than most freeing figures. So I was excited to see what this had to offer. And now that I've got it, I'm disappointed. This is a disappointing figure for me. Everything about this to me is just disappointing. I think the pose itself feels just bland. I don't like, for one, that you have to put these little like garter things on her arm, because otherwise you're gonna see this marking here. Also, and I just noticed this, that garter has absolutely stained that figure. So there you go, even a bigger reason not to put that thing there. I don't know if that'll wipe off or not, but there it is. That's a problem that freeing has dealt with, and that's why they don't do a lot of cloth stuff anymore. But not only that, but her underwear here, that is a cast-off thing, you can see there to where it connects. It is just, that will not snap shut. I have tried and I have tried, and it won't do it. Not only that, but you can see this molded on section of her, like, whatever that term is for sexual thing. That's fine. But this here, it just sits on top of it. So, really, the only way to display her is without those. But then, she's got her linking thing out to where the family will see her. So, that's a problem. So if you want the cast off parts on, if it's a cast on, it looks bad. You might say, well then just leave it cast off all the time. Well, I can't, because this top, if I remove it, and I can't show you this unfortunately, you're gonna have to take my word for it. If I take this off, you would show off her breast. And they look awful. Now, I have personally not seen many women's breasts in my life. I'm gonna be completely honest with you there. Did you get the idea? Maybe that doesn't come across. Maybe you think I'm a really big ladies' man here, but I haven't seen a ton. But for quarter scale here, I have not seen many women's breasts to where her nipple would be like this big in relation to her breast. You might even notice here how pokey she seems to be. I don't know how cold it is for her, but dang, that's not normal. Like, it just doesn't look natural to me. It looks like you do this so that when the clothes are on, it obviously shows a poked out version. That's what they're going for. But when you take it off, it looks bad. It looks fake. And you might say, it's an anime figure. What do you expect? I expect some realism here. That's what you're going for. You're going for this kind of MILF thing here. So at least be a little bit close, especially with those parts. It's not even close. And overall, this is like, is this worse than the Ranma Pop? No. But the Ranma Pop was $10. This is over $300. I want a little bit of quality with this thing. This is probably one of my least favorite figures in my collection, not because it's bad overall, but because of how much I spent on this and how little value this has in my collection, in my opinion. Number 2. This is a recent pickup. This is what they are calling a comic cover or a movie poster. So Funko's been doing this for a little while. They did Star Wars, they did a big movie poster, and then they had the movie poster from A New Hope, and then they had Luke up here in the front, and it looked all right. And then they, did other movie posters. They've done records, they've done comic covers. They had a really cool one where it was Spider-Man, and he was kind of swinging the little case, and it was neat. And here, we finally got a anime one. And this is fun. There's a lot of possibilities with this. However, what they did is all they did was they took an anime screenshot from the anime, not from any specific poster. You know, you didn't take like season 1 poster, season 2 poster, you didn't take any of that. You just took a random screenshot of Nezuko and you threw her in here and you put pink flames on there. And then to make it even better, they had it was a shop exclusive, so they threw the sticker on the box itself. This is not like, this is a sticker on the case. This case isn't meant to come apart. And they just threw it on there. Why? I said this before in another video, but I think a good alternative to this, and it would have actually looked really good in my opinion, was to, instead of having this, you did this manga cover. This is volume 11. And you would have Nezuko on there. You would have this, just this page printed out back here on the back. And then you would make something similar to this and have her sitting down here in the corner. I think that'd look really good. And if you can't get the rights to the manga, which I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, Demon Slayer is one of your biggest selling waves, I would imagine you could do that. But if you can't do that, take one of the posters from the anime. They make tons of them. You can do that, throw it in there, bam, there you go. This is just a big disappointment, and it feels lazy to me. It feels like they didn't really try. They just wanted a manga thing or a movie poster thing, and so they just threw this together and they said, here you go, buy it. And guess what? I did. But there's a Tanjiro one. I haven't added that to my collection yet. Next year, we'll see you, Tanjiro. And lastly, last year we had some really rough ones, and I don't think we've topped that this year, but we did come close. And that is with Takamiya-san from Please Put Them On, Takamiya-san's Blu-ray. So, this is a figure that you got for pre-ordering and buying all of the Blu-rays, and you bought the exclusive edition that came with this thing. And this figure sucks. I'm going to be completely honest. This figure sucks in more ways than one. So this was kind of presented as this lewd figure. It was, in all the promotional stuff, it would cut off about right here. So you couldn't actually see what the figure was. As you can see there, it's just basically her top open. But you can't see anything. So it isn't like it's an etchy figure like the other one. You're not seeing anything. And even then, I do want to just focus in on this. Her head looks awful. Like this head looks awful. And just overall, this figure just feels cheap. I really hate figures that will have metal pegs that go all the way through the base because they're easy to like break the base because you can push those metal pegs through the base. And there you go. It's got that. So, you know, if you didn't think already this was bad, there you go. Not only that, but I have to hold it from here. Like all the other ones, you would see that I would pick it up like from here. I can't do that with this one because if I do, it falls apart. Because there is an alternative body. Now, I would show you that, but I put it in storage because of how boring it is. All it is just her top buttoned up. How boring is that? You got an anime to where the whole point of the anime is how much she takes off her clothes. Please Put Them On, Takamiya-san is an anime about how often she takes off her stinking bra and panties to be able to reverse time. And what do we get? A boring figure to where you never, like, yeah, I guess she's not technically wearing a bra there, but she is wearing underwear. And you can see to where they're taking it off. But it's just a boring figure. I'm so excited for some of these like figures like this to where it's a, you know, a bonus, or you can buy it with the Blu-ray, and it's exciting because you're like, well, that's, you know, gonna be kind of rare, and then they release them on their own later. But they usually are kind of rare. I got the Days with My Stepsister ones right on the edge of the frame here, right here. And I was really excited about that one. I really liked that figure. But this figure just disappointed me, which I think is probably pretty fitting because this anime got me really hyped. I thought, you know, it looks good from the trailers. I thought it was going to do pretty good. And then in the end, it's just waste of time. And I watched it and I feel like I never got anything out of it. Kind of like what I am feeling with this figure. So I do want to say, though, once again, this year was not as bad as last year. Now, were there figures that I canceled due to tariffs and stuff that if I would have gotten them, I would have thought they were kind of bad? Probably. However, because of all that, I just didn't get as many figures this year. I didn't get as many prize figures this year. But there was more figures this year that I was just disappointed by. Figures that I was excited about and left me disappointed. For instance, Mau Mau, Girls Band Cry. Neither of those are bad figures, but they're figures that I was left disappointed with. Figures that I don't look at much in my collection now. And I think that kind of sucks, and those figures that I really don't like looking back. But there was plenty of figures that I just didn't like, most notably these in the middle. But what was your least favorite thing of 2025? Is there a figure out there that I'm really missing out on that was really bad? Let me know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching another year of my just ramblings about figures and everything. I'll be doing it for another year, and we'll be back next year with hopefully maybe some better stuff. I sure hope so.